We are solving equations. The problem with these equations are, or not a problem, there could be a problem if I wanted to solve x, but there aren't factors. In a quadratic equation, the general rule is get it equal to 0 and then factorize. But if I looked for factors of 9, there weren't any factors for 9 that could get me minus 7 in the middle, even if I tried searching for it. So the general rule is get it equal to 0, try to factorize. If you can't, use the formula. Generally, that's your go-to. So if there are no factors, we go for the formula, which you must now know off by heart after today, which is minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. What does the ABC stand for? General standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. So that your a, b, and c, and you don't have to write it like I've done there, but it could be a good thing for you if you are struggling. Then we need to substitute the b then with negative 7 in both places, the a with 1 in both places, and the c with negative 9 in the correct places, guys. Otherwise, don't try and do it as fast as you possibly can, as accurate as you can. So then after doing that, my sum will tell me on the calculator what the answers are, and they are, please.
7 plus 80.
Square root
85.
over 2, like that.
Yes.
So the other one, I'm guessing, will just be with the negative. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, sometimes it's just a little bit funky, but it's fine. Now the question said, leave your answer in third form where necessary. Third form. If it was able to go to simpler third form, like 2 root 5 or something like that, your calculator would have done it. So that's it. The other alternative is that the calculator can ask, the sum can ask you to leave it in decimals. Then what do? You just press SD and correctly round off, which is normally generally to 2 decimals. Okay, just answer the question. If they say nothing and you leave it there, it's fine. I would rather go for both options, because if your question papers always say, where necessary, round off to 2. Was it necessary? Because it is a simple third form. But if you're struggling, if you're uneasy, rather write third form and decimals. Why not? But if the sum says 2 decimals and you stop here, you're going to lose marks. Answer the question. Right, for number D. First of all, the question starts off and all of them just say solve for x, solve for x, solve for x, solve for x. There's actually a clue when you're looking at your exam papers and in your exam aid. Usually the clue is the sum says solve for x, and in brackets it says leave your answer to 2 decimals. That's actually a clue that it's going to be the formula. Otherwise your answers don't go to decimals or true root forms. Now this one didn't say. It only said for the whole exercise, it said where necessary leave it in third form. So for this question you don't know. There's not a crib note there or a clue there that says go for 2 decimals, so I don't know. But there are brackets. Did the brackets help me? Not at all. The brackets are actually just a distraction. If it was equal to 0, that might have been a little bit of a help. Then I could say the 2 answers are there. Boom. 2 things timed and the answer is 0, one of them has to be 0. But 2 things timed and the answer is 15 doesn't mean one of them has to be 15. So you have to time out, FOIL those 2 brackets, and get your standard form again. And now we're going to try and factorize. Were there factors? Yes, there were, I think. Now, if you did it on the formula way, because now remember, if I give you something, and I didn't put it on the video, the questions that were here for homework. So if you have what was my point here? If you did go for the formula because of yesterday being all about formula, it's fine. But what were your answers for this sum?
2
Yeah?
and negative 9 over 2.
That tells me it had to have had factors. If the answers have no roots in them, no irrational answers in them, it tells me that it did have factors. So if you did it with the formula, you'd still get to these answers, but that means you could have factorized. If you went for factorization, I'm going to erase it just now. It would have been 1 times 2 and 3 times, no, it's 2 times 9 that worked. Cross multiply, and it actually did give me plus 5. You see it? Meaning, it's x minus 2 and 2x plus 9. And the answers are 2 or negative 9 over 2, which you guys have. But you all did it on the formula because that's what you were expecting. Okay, so what does that tell you? Does the formula only work if it doesn't have factors? So you can use the formula, especially if the factors get a little bit large and lots of possibilities for your James Bond technique. Then it helps you to go for the formula. But don't throw away the new calculator. Please use and abuse it. Guys, we now know what the answer is. So the guy that saw it saved a little bit of time. I never said use the formula. I said find the answer and if necessary leave your answer in surd form. If you did the factors, you were perfectly right. If there are factors, factorize. If there are not, you have to do the formula. If there are factors and you do the formula, you're still right. And that's what you guys did. So x is equal to negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And we're substituting the b and the a and the c and the a with. Now I never wrote it. Do you have to write a is 2, b is 5, c is negative 18? If it helps you, that's fine, but just get the correct things in here. So b was 5, a was 2, and c was negative 18, and make double sure that you don't go too fast, and then this is easy marks. Now the formula, do the substitution, get the answer. Easy marks, level 1. And the answers? Okay, you don't have to show me how you added that together and how you got the answer. What does it mean though? In that root, you had 25 minus, what is 8 times 18, please? What is 8 times 18, please? How much? 1? The total, and then your answer would be root 169. If you actually showed me step by step. Then this was 144 plus the 25, giving me 169 in the root. So it's coming out. Because 169 is a perfect square. So that means that this answer, what is the nature of these roots? The nature of these roots. What are roots? X intercepts. When we go to parabolas, and I ask you for this parabola, to go get me the x-intercepts, there they are. So the nature of these roots or x-intercepts are there x-intercepts? Is it going to cut the x-axis? Yes, at those two places, so it's real. Secondly, do they have irrational or rational nature? Rational. What gives it an irrational nature? If the answer has a root in it. Because if you put that into SD, it'll not end non-recurve. This is rational with no little dot there. And then the last thing, is it equal or unequal? What does that mean?
Unequal.
Because there are two answers. So that means unequal roots. Meaning that I have 8, 2 and negative 2 and a bit. And it's a positive, something like that. I'll have 2, so it's real. And a rational because the values there are minus 4.5 and 2 which are rational numbers. And unequal means there are 2 x-intercepts. Just to get you smoothly and little by little into nature of the roots. Did I tell you to do that? No, so I've just added it here. When you ask for nature of the roots, those are the 3 things. Yesterday we did one with a root that was a negative. The moment that whole answer there was something like minus 5 plus minus root 7, negative 7 over 4. You said? Non-real. What does that mean? It will not cut the x-axis. There are no real roots. And if they're non-real, do I say non-real and rational? Non-real means there's nothing. Non-real is just non-real. You can't say non-real and there are two of them. Or non-real and it's rational. It's just non-real. Okay. Okay, solve for x. I don't even know if this is linear yet. Or quadratic yet. I know it's not exponential. Alright? So if I want to do the sum, I'll need to get rid of those brackets. So it's just distributive law. 3x minus 2x squared, negative 2x. And then the moment I see that there's a square going on, I'll bring that 2 across and get it equal to 0. But our steps don't have to be the same. Some stage you're going to have to get 0.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we are adding them all together, and now I'm deciding against my own decision, and I'm taking them all to the right-hand side. What's wrong with this person? Does it matter?
No.
Why would I take it to the other side? To get rid of the negative, because I'm still hoping that it's going to be factorization. So it's 0 equal to 2x squared. This will become plus x on the other side, minus x, and plus 2. So the poor 2 has gone to the left and gone to the right again. Not equal to 0, sorry. So we've got positive x on the left hand becomes negative x on the right, and negative 2 becomes positive 2. And I'm searching for factors and I'm not finding. So now, formula. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
B's value is negative 1. And A's value is 2 and C's value is 2. And we got 2 times my A value, 2. Alright. And what happened to the sum? When you put it in the calculator? No solution. Why? You can just follow your calculator, it's true. But the reason is if you actually go do it with your own brain, not with your calculator brain, it says positive 1 there, but this is negative 16. So inside the root's going to be negative 15. You need to show me that. No, you don't have to show me that. If it says no solution, you say no solution, and that's it. But there's the proof. There is no real solution. What is the nature of the roots? Non-real. If I go sketch this parabola, it will be something looking like that. It will not cut the x-axis because my nature of my x-intercepts are none. Right, last one for homework. X squared plus 2x plus 5. And I'm searching for factors and I'm not finding it. So this is the principle. When it's quadratic, get it equal to 0. Try factorize, doesn't work. Go for the formula. So we've got our formula. B squared negative 4ac over 2a. And again, just want to confirm again, emphasize, please use the brackets when you substitute, then you cannot go wrong. So a's value was 1. Oh, there's no a. B's value was 2. And c's value was 5. And this sum? Again had no solution. Well, all of them have no solution since I just did 2 of them now. Definitely not. And if it does have solution, please make note that you answer the question. Give it in root form or surd form if they ask for it. Give it in decimals if they ask for it. Why does this one not? Why? How do I just know it's got to have no solution? Because I quickly check this out. Under the root, it's going to be 4 minus 20, which is going to be minus 16 in the square root. And that immediately tells me no solution. No real solution. Okay, guys, that is the end of the formula. Does that mean we've just quickly done it in a day, so it can't be that important? It will be there every single time that you're solving equations. We have to test it. Along with sums that have roots in them, where you isolate the roots, square them. We also did that very quickly. But we can't keep doing that for 6 days on end. Now from now on, you'll know that whenever you're in a sum, developing and getting to a place that it doesn't have factors, you go for the formula. Right. taught how to complete the square. Now there's a story behind the story. All of these quadratic expressions are actually parabolas. And you know the parabola from grade 10, but not as much as this. Your grade 10 one didn't really have a b there. It was always symmetrical around the y-axis. So it's going to change this year. But that's not the only form that a parabola's equation can be written. It can also be written in this form that you know nothing about at this very moment. Now this is what I'm aiming towards, to get it into this form for a reason. Because this form, having a square, completing the square, having a square tells me something. If it's in this form, that same a is in the front there, there's the x all on its own, then this p and this q represents your turning point. And through that, I can always say, if the parabola was a smiley face, it has a minimum value, and if it has a frowny face, it has a maximum value. The turning point will be that p and that q. And the q will be my maximum or minimum value. And that's actually what we're aiming towards. Just to put in the picture why I'm trying to do this with you. There's a whole technique I'm saying over here. If we look at our example, and I say complete the square, there are rules. So we're trying to get it into this form, trying to make a square. There are things in maths that we can do because we force it, but we always do it legally. So if I want to, in an equation, add 1,000,000 on the left hand, I can do it. Just do it on the right hand side as well. I hope you have a purpose, but there's always something you can legalize. So now I'm saying, to do this completing of the square, there are rules. First of all, the coefficient of x squared must be 1. So to start your day off nicer, I've already made this a 1. The sum doesn't have a coefficient there, so the coefficient is 1. If it is 1, then the next step. So we'll have a more difficult one next time. But it is 1. Then we take the coefficient of x, which is what?
Coefficient of 4.
Negative 4. And what do we do with it? Times it by a half and square it. So this is learning. You've got to know this. So we take that minus 4. It's like James Bond here on the side in your pencil. You take that minus 4, you time it with a half, and you square it. What's this answer, please, on a calculator? Or without a calculator? It's 4.
Yes.
Now, how you're going to do this is you're going to separate this x squared minus 4x. That negative 6 is not completing my picture. I'm just saying to that negative 6 or whatever it is standing there, just you stand to the side and keep quiet for a while. I need to do something with these two to make this 2-term a 3-term, of which I will get a bracket that looks the same as the next bracket, that will make the bracket be a square. That's what we're doing. And the method is to take, if that's 1, to take that coefficient, thumb it with a half and square it, so that these two brackets, will look exactly the same. So the method says that there's a plus 4 added in there. So I need to get this answer, which was 4. And what do I do with it? That's the missing link. To get a perfect trinomial that will give me a perfect square. These two brackets, if you want to go do it old school like James Bond, it was 1 times 1 and 2 times 2, right? And it does give me negative 4. What do you see about these two brackets? They look exactly the same. So you're not going to factorize all the time. You're making it go that way by doing this method. So in this bracket then, the shortcut method would be to say that one square rooted is x. That one's sign, which is a negative, so if it had been a positive, it would stay a positive. And then the last one, square rooted, will be a minus. Do you see it? X minus 2, x minus 2, and it'll always work that way because you're forcing it by doing this half of square thing. This will always be what comes out there. But that's not right, man. I just changed the sum that was a 3-term to something that I've just put the 4 in there. You can't just do that. Let's legalize. How can I legalize this?
You add them.
That's legal. Then please don't go and add them all up again, because then you're back to square 1. This, the first 3, and do what I do. Do this squiggly wiggly. make your trinomial that this is my be all, this is my mission. This -6 and -4 will now become -10. But I have completed the square, the sum is finished. I have completed the square. For a purpose, because in a sum I will ask you, listen, what is the minimum or maximum of this thing? So you're going to tell me -10. What is it? Is it a minimum or a maximum? Because the parabola is a smiley face, this will be a minimum of -10. That's beside the point. I just wanted to show you completing the square. Completing the square, you get if the coefficient there is 1, so there'll be something else to do. If it's not 1, that'll be a next sum. If it's 1, then you take the coefficient of x. What do you do with it? Times a half and square, always. That's the technique into getting it to be the same two brackets. That's your technique. So you've got the +4 there. We legalize it because this expression is still the same as the previous one. But now I put them together to make a perfect square, and that's my answer. So that your answer is now a, which is 1, x minus p squared plus q in the general form. Turning point would be something with that 2 and that -10, which isn't just important yet for you guys. But I have done the completing of the square. Video, so there are your 2 sums that you just got to go try for me, okay?